Hey everyone, and welcome. So, have you ever pictured modern applications not as code, but as these huge, bustling cities? It's actually a fantastic way to think about them. But if you're the one in charge of building one of these digital cities, you've got a big problem. How do you manage all that traffic? Today, we're diving into the super smart traffic management system that does just that, the service mesh. But first, let's start with a question I'm sure we've all asked. With all the amazing features our apps have, why do they sometimes just fail? Why do they get slow or break in these really strange, unpredictable ways? Well, the answer is often hiding in the beautiful chaos of how they're actually built today. So here's how we're going to break it all down. We'll kick things off with the problem itself, what I call the microservice traffic jam. Then we'll get into the really cool solution, a smart system with its very own cops and a command center. We'll even see how it can connect different cities and let us test out new routes super safely. It's going to be a fun one, so let's get started. All right, let's jump right into our first section, the microservice traffic jam. This is really the heart of the problem, right in the middle of our digital city, where all the complexity and, frankly, all the chaos begins. You see, a modern app isn't one giant building anymore. Nope. It's more like a sprawling city made up of hundreds, sometimes thousands, of tiny, independent services. We call them microservices. You've got one for logins, another for payments, a third for recommendations. You get the idea. They're like the individual coffee shops and offices in our city. And the problem? They have to talk to each other constantly, creating this massive, tangled, unmanaged flow of data traffic. It's a mess. So how in the world do you bring order to that kind of chaos without having to rewrite every single service from scratch? Well, you introduce a smart, dedicated layer that's designed specifically to handle this traffic, and that, my friends, is where the service mesh comes in. You know, the contrast here is just incredible. On the left, you've got the before world, total chaos, a tangled mess where finding out why something broke is a complete nightmare. Then, on the right, you get the afterworld, clean, orderly, with smart traffic routing, total visibility, and clear rules for everybody. This is the fundamental promise of a service mesh. It transforms that unpredictable chaos into predictable, manageable order. So, how does this magic actually work? Well, it's not magic at all, it's just some really brilliant engineering. It all boils down to two key parts, which we can think of as the police force and the headquarters for our city's entire traffic system. Let's break them down. First up, we have the sidecar proxy. Now, this is a super lightweight little program that sits right next to every single one of our microservices. In our city metaphor, just imagine a dedicated traffic cop standing right outside every building. This cop, the sidecar, intercepts every single piece of data going in or out. It handles all the complicated rules of the road, like encryption, retries, and routing, so the app inside the building can just focus on its job. But wait, who tells all these thousands of traffic cops what to do? That's the job of the control plane. Think of this as the central command center, the brain of the whole operation. From this one spot, you can set the rules for the entire city. So the control plane pushes out all the policies to the individual sidecar cops, making sure they all enforce the rules consistently across the board. It's the big boss. Okay, so this system is incredibly powerful for managing one single application, our one digital city. But let's be real. Modern companies don't just have one city. They have tons of them, often spread all over the world. So what happens when they all need to talk to each other? Let's check that out. And this is where things get really next level. A powerful service mesh isn't just stuck managing one city. It can basically act like a federal highway system, building these secure, reliable connections between different cities, whether they're running in separate Kubernetes clusters, in different data centers, or even on different clouds. This lets you create one massive, unified network out of many smaller ones, which is an absolute game changer for building resilient apps and avoiding vendor lock-in. All right, so now that we've seen how a service mesh gives us this insane level of control over traffic, let's look at a really practical, powerful way we can use it. How can this help us roll out new features more safely? Well, let's talk about something called a canary release. Okay, picture this. We've got a service. It's running smoothly in production. As you can see here, 100% of our users are being sent to version 1, the stable, trusted version. Everything's great. But now, the dev team wants to push out an update. Instead of doing a risky big bang release where everyone gets the new code at once, we do a canary release. Here's how it works. First, we deploy our new version 2 right alongside the old one. Then, we use the control plane to tell our sidecar cops to send just a tiny piece of the real user traffic, say 10%, over to the new version. We watch it like a hawk for any errors. And if everything looks good, we just slowly and safely increase that traffic until everyone's on the new, improved route. And this is what that looks like in practice. The service mesh gives us surgical precision to split traffic exactly how we want. 90% of our users stay on that stable, trusted path, totally unaffected. Meanwhile, that other 10% become our testers for the new route, and they probably don't even know it. This is just an incredibly powerful way to lower the risk of deploying new code. So, as we start to wrap up, let's pull back and look at the bigger picture. We've talked about the what and the how, but why is this technology so critical for the future? Let's quickly go over the key takeaways. At the end of the day, here's the bottom line. A service mesh makes life way simpler for developers by handling all the complex network stuff for them. It makes our apps more reliable and more secure right out of the box. It gives us that crucial visibility to see what's actually going on inside our systems. It enables those safe, modern deployment strategies we talked about. And, of course, it unlocks the power to build apps that can truly live across multiple clouds. I love this quote because it just nails it. A service mesh separates the complex plumbing, the how things communicate, from the actual job the service is supposed to be doing, the what. It basically lets your developers focus on building awesome features. You know, just like a barista should only have to worry about making great coffee, not about the city's plumbing or the water pressure. So I'll just leave you with this final thought. In a world that runs on software, our applications really are the backbone of everything. And if that's true, then maybe a service mesh isn't just another nice-to-have tool. Maybe it's the essential nervous system that allows that backbone to function, to react, and to evolve. Thanks for joining me on this explainer.